Hello and welcome to the Root Cause Clinic. So this is week one. This is the first time I'm hosting the clinic, but my intention is I'll be running these every week for clients. So whether you are in the Detox Academy, the Cleansing Club, which is launching in a couple of weeks, or you have purchased my book, you'll all have access to ask me questions each week via this Root Cause Clinic. I will be carving out 1 hour for these clinics. If I have so many questions that I can't get through them in that time, then my intention will be to either try to answer that through social media content, it will be to make free guides and PDFs, or I'll carry the question over to the following clinic the week after and answer that question as a priority. So that's how it's going to go. For those of you that are watching this who aren't a client and don't know who I am, my name is Jade. I'm a root cause healing specialist. So essentially, I specialize in helping people get to the root cause of their chronic symptoms. And I do that through a 4-part framework. So we look at detoxification, nervous system regulation, gut healing, and resolving chronic deficiencies. I teach all about that in my best-selling book, and it's called Ignite Your Body's Self-Healing Mechanism. So if you are listening and you're not a client and you want to be able to ask me questions each week via this clinic, then I'll pop the link to my book below. That's $5.99. If you get a copy of that, you'll be invited to ask me questions in this clinic. So that's all the intro done. Now, I have some questions that have been submitted this week. Thank you very much to everyone that did submit questions. So the first one is from Sophie. The question: how do we cope with sugar cravings for the first 30 days? From a true sugar addict. Yes, and I'm sure you're not the only one to be asking this question and that has the sugar addiction. So Sophie is in the Detox Academy. In the first 30 days, we follow an elimination diet, and one of the foods to exclude is refined sugar. If you are used to having lots of sugar in your diet, then yes, at first it's going to be quite difficult. There are going to be cravings and even breaking habits. So just to bear in mind, it takes 21 days to form a new habit. So if you are struggling in that first month, just know that is normal. That is going to happen. There's probably times where really common. It gets to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We have that energy slump. We're a bit bored and we're thinking, I wonder what's in the cupboard. Sometimes that's boredom. Sometimes that's habit. Okay. And it's going to take time to break that. So I think give yourself some grace is the first thing I would say. But I do also have a couple of strategies that might help. So the first one is try to avoid long periods without food. The longer you will go with breaks between meals, the more your blood sugar will start to drop. And then we start craving sugar because we want to bring that blood sugar back up. So it might be, commonly we have 3 meals a day. It might be for you that actually you might operate better right now on having 4 or 5 smaller meals so that you're eating more regularly. And also when you are eating your meals, make sure you have a really balanced plate. We've got some carbohydrates, we've got some good fats, we've got some protein. Protein will actually help, satiate you so that you're not then a half an hour later craving something else. The more carb heavy it is, the more you probably want another sugar fix shortly after. So that's the first kind of strategy. The other thing to bear in mind is our taste buds tend to lean either more towards sweet foods or towards bitter foods. Now, the way our food system has been hijacked, there's sugar and sweeteners and we've got processed foods, refined foods. All of this is hidden in our food system, or it's just hijacked our food system. And now our taste buds want more sweet foods. We are accustomed to that, and it's going to take time to change that and get our taste buds wanting more bitter foods. But we can encourage that by snacking on bitter foods. A really great one is olives. Olives are bitter, and it's funny because some people say, "Oh, I really don't like olives," but then the more they have them, the more they actually start to like them. And this actually happened to me when I met my partner. He loved olives, and he'd always want to get some olives before a meal. Oh, I don't like olives. I'll just try one. No, don't like it. But every time he'd get them, I'll try again. He'll, oh. And in the end, I now love olives. I love olives, and it's because you have to get your taste buds accustomed to that taste, especially if you are a sweet fiend and that's what you love. Your taste buds are going to be like, that's not sweet. I don't like it. Persevere. A bit of perseverance is needed with that. Sauerkraut, any fermented foods really, they're really bitter, like soury. That's what our gut wants, and it doesn't want the sugar. And so it's almost retraining yourself. So just accept that at first it might be a bit like, ugh, but keep going and you'll actually start to really enjoy those foods. I promise. That's the second strategy. Okay, the next one is accepting that you are going to have some cravings and that's okay. And what can we have instead of refined sugar? So we can have some fruits, ideally low on the glycemic index, but if you just have a few approved fruits on hand in your fruit bowl, ready to just grab, when the craving comes on, that will help curb it. And look, I know sometimes grabbing an apple might not be the most interesting or exciting thing, but we can think about, okay, how about we have a nice little pot of almond butter? We have some apple slices and we dip them into the almond butter. Just trying to come up with creative ways to make it hit the spot a little bit more, just temporarily, because obviously as we're doing this work, at the moment you're going to have lots of parasites going on. So as we start to reduce the parasitic overgrowth, the cravings that are coming from the parasites are going to reduce, if not eventually stop. And also your liver. Your liver has a really big way of controlling what you're craving as well. So the more liver flushes you do, the more you'll actually not even want the sugar. It's so fascinating. So this is just temporary, okay? It's finding strategies temporarily until we get to that point. And the final one is just checking in with yourself. So when you are craving something sweet and you want something sugary, asking yourself, why do I want this? Do I actually want this? Because I find this myself. I will be sitting here, working all day, and it can get quite boring sometimes. And I think my way of spicing things up, I guess, and bringing some excitement to my life is, I'll have a little treat. And I don't really want the treats. I don't really want the sugary food. I call it treat because that's how I talk to the kids about treats. So they know, this is a healthy food. This is an unhealthy food. We have these occasionally because this is a treat for us. It's not good for our body, yada yada. So if you're wondering, why are you calling that a treat? That'll be why. But yes, it's about checking in with yourself. What is it? Is it actually a lack of sleep? Sometimes when we are sleep deprived, we want that sugar fix for energy. Is it that we're really stressed? Is it that we're emotional and we're eating to feed our emotions? So it's rather than trying to control this impulse, it's like, hang on, let's just check in. Let's just see why am I sleep. This is for me, having a 1-year-old, and I'm up multiple times a night, and then you still get lying with a baby. So I know a lot of the time if I do fancy something sweet, it's because I haven't slept very well. So just checking in. So there are my 4 different strategies there that I would recommend. And actually part of that final one was going to be, if it is boredom, or if you kind of want to take your mind off it, go for a walk, get out, change up the routine. If you are just sat here, the more you sit here saying, no, I'm not going to have it, the more it starts to eat away at you. Disrupt the environment. Okay, I'm going for a walk. I'm going for a jog. I'm going to the gym. I'm going to get outside. I'm going, whatever you're going to do. I'm going to go tidy up. I'm going to go sort through some files. I don't know. If you like organization, that might be great. Whatever you want to do, take a bath. Just something to disrupt your environment. That can really help too. I hope that's helpful. Okay. Next question is from Natalie. Any suggestions to help with histamine issues? I get very bad rashes. The worst of it is usually in my face, which seems to be caused by histamine, and I have to take a lot of antihistamines to get it to calm down. I'm currently going through the academy, but it has been getting worse. And at the moment, I don't want to leave the house. I understand that while the toxins are being removed, this might happen, but I'm just wondering if you could suggest anything to try and help relieve it slightly. Yes, of course. Whilst I'm all about root cause healing, all about the root cause healing, that's not to say there's not a time and a place for symptom management. It's not about struggling through, okay, I'm doing root cause, I've just got to struggle through to get to that point. No, let's try and make that journey a little bit easier, more supported, easier for you. Because the important thing is actually you're the type of person that can have symptom management approaches because you're doing root cause. It's those that are solely relying on symptom management that we have to say, well, be careful here because this is going to get you caught in a cycle that you won't be able to get off of. But in this situation, yes, let's support you. Let's help you so that you're not, especially if you're feeling like you don't want to leave the house right now. We don't want to be limiting and restricting your life in that way. Doing root cause work is about freedom. It's about getting your health back, isn't it? Right? It's about taking back control over your health issues and knowing that you are in control of getting the desired outcome. So, with all of that said, what symptom management approaches could you take right now that's going to support this temporarily? Okay, so let's have a look at what symptom management approaches you can do. So, the first one I would recommend is a binder, and you probably are on a binder because you're in the academy. But look, if you're taking 2 capsules per day, up it to 4 capsules, you need more. Histamine is going to be in circulation, which is why it's coming out through the skin. We want to mop this up. We don't want it in circulation. At the moment, the body's saying, I need this out, and it will use the skin. The skin is the biggest elimination channel to push it through. So that is a clear sign that we need to be binding that up. So look, right now, if you are taking 2 capsules when you wake up, as an example, I don't know how much you're taking right now. If you're not taking any at all, definitely take 2 capsules. So if you are taking 2 capsules already, you would then take 4. And how you would do that, you would do 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. We want the binders coming in more regularly. If it's still not helped, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, 2 before bed. Okay, you can go up to 10 capsules on binders. So right now it's a very, very low dose. The standard recommendation is a low dose. It's just a gentle mop up. Right now you need support. So support looks like a lot more. Okay. So consider between 4 and 6. Then there are some supplements that really help with histamine issues. One of them is quercetin. If you haven't got quercetin, you're not taking quercetin, highly recommend. Global Healing do a quercetin product, and I love that brand. And also vitamin C. Now, the best way to take that is either liposomal vitamin C or a whole food source, which I like Camu powder. You can get that on Amazon. I think actually you can also get that on the Finchley Clinic, which is where you can get Global Healing products. Camu is great. And again, with vitamin C, you're actually going to want to take quite a lot. And not all in one go. It's not about, right, taking vitamin C today. It's about doing it regularly. With vitamin C, it can cause loose stools. So you will know if you've taken too much, but you want to find your tolerance. What that looks like is you might start day 1 teaspoon of vitamin C. The next day, try 2 teaspoons. The day after that, try 3 teaspoons. And these are spaced out, right? Because we want to be giving the body this support throughout the day. Morning, midday, afternoon, as an example. If then you notice loose stools, that's your tolerance, okay? So come back down. That's too much. Come back down. 2.5 teaspoons, still loose stool. Okay, 2 teaspoons, no loose stool, tolerance. That's the best way to support yourself, okay? So got quercetin, binder, and vitamin C. Then the other thing is, I don't know where you're at in terms of the academy right now. If you haven't got to parasites yet, it actually might be beneficial to bring in just some antiparasitic foods or herbs now, a little bit sooner, as long as you're going to the toilet every day. If not, support your bowel movements. But parasites release histamine, and a lot of the work that we're doing, especially the diet, is all starving the parasites. What the parasites do when they start to get starved and they can feel they're under attack is they get very agitated. They start to release more byproducts, their waste products. Histamine is one of them. So this actually might be why things are worsening, because the parasites are all very agitated. So actually, we might want to hit them now sooner rather than later, rather than getting to the parasite cleansing later on. How that would look is getting some black walnut and wormwood tincture and taking 1 meal, which is basically the pipette, in water or your morning cocktail in the morning, and then again before bed. Doing it twice a day. 1 meal in the morning, 1 meal in the evening. Take that for 10 days, have a 10-day rest, and take for 10 days again. That just allows that break in the middle. One, keeps it effective, but also it helps get eggs. When the eggs hatch, we come back for a second round. I would give them a hit because I suspect that is also contributing. And the final things I would do is support your liver, because that's where histamine gets stored, okay? So the liver needs to break down histamine, and when it can't, it starts building up in the liver. Then it overspills, it goes into the whole system, it comes out through the skin. It's this whole big cycle. So let's start helping the liver to actually get the histamine broken down and out of the body properly. So for that, I would go to the drainage section and just start implementing, whether you're past that or not, it doesn't matter. We just want to bring these in now. Coffee enemas, castor oil packs. You likely already have your liver herb in the morning. Sipping on warm lemon water throughout the day will really support the liver as well. Trying to be asleep before 10 p.m. at night, because the liver will start detoxing from 11 p.m. All of these things are going to help, okay? And see how you get on. Let me know. Do you know, one final thing I've just thought of as well, actually, is while it's in the blood and it's going around and it's getting out through the skin, let's help that happen quicker through lymph support. So again, you might be doing this, but if you're not, just upping the lymph. So dry body brushing, just before you go in the shower, you're going to be having a brush, just gently brushing bottom to up, okay? We're always going towards the heart. So you start at your feet and you're going to go all the way up towards your heart. You can do Epsom salt baths. You want it really hot, okay, to tolerance. In there for at least 20 minutes to get the benefits. That will really help support your lymph. And jumping up and down. If you have a mini trampoline, even better. But if you don't, just up and down movement, that shunting movement will help move the lymph, okay? Especially if you find you have quite a sedentary lifestyle. If you have a desk job and you come home and you sit and eat dinner and you watch TV and you go to bed, it's all very sedentary. You might even drive to work. Lots of sitting there and not enough movement. I know some people are too sick to do much movement, but just a very gentle up and down can really help. If even that is too much, sauna. The sauna is great. Try to get to a sauna once a week. Okay, next question. What is the best option for muscles, bones, and optimal health? Is it? It feels like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Like question. Is it A, collagen, creatine, or gelatine? So, my opinion on this, I'm a bit cautious of creatine because it can be quite hard on the kidneys, especially anyone with chronic health issues. Their organs might already be quite overwhelmed, so I wouldn't really like the idea of putting that through the kidneys right now. Um, I do see on social media there is this blanket approach of everyone should be taking it. It's amazing, but I am cautious just because of the impact on the kidneys. However, when it comes to gelatin and collagen, both of these are great. But look, I don't actually think getting them through supplements, which is how this kind of reads, is optimal because you can actually get both of those, so the collagen and the gelatin, in bone broth, and that is so much more bioavailable. Not only because it's then a whole food source and it's not had to be extracted and processed to get to the powder or the supplement, but also it's easy to absorb. It's a liquid, it's a drink. We don't have to go through digestion. So if you do have chronic health issues, and there's likely then going to be an element of gut dysbiosis, intestinal permeability, we don't know how good digestion and absorption is, suddenly that doesn't matter anymore because we have a drink, we have a liquid, and you're going to get the benefit of both. That's why I am such a raving fan of bone broth. I'm like, drink it, like use it in your cooking, get the protein powder version, whatever works for you, but try and incorporate that regularly into your life. So that would be my answer. Next question. Someone has a bottle of the Global Healing Ultimate Enzymes in the cupboard. Um, they were opened a year ago, but haven't been fully used, and the sell by or the use by date is July 2026. Are they safe to take? Yes, that's absolutely fine. I mean, obviously they haven't even gone past the use by date. Yes, yet. Yes, I know that you opened them, but they're in capsules and it's a powder. Powders last ages anyway, even just as powders in like packs. So that is no problem. The second part to this question: can you summarize why digestive enzymes are recommended and how long to take them for? How are they helping? How are they needed? Is it just to help digest food or is it more than that? Okay, great question. So I think it's clear to differentiate here that using digestive enzymes can be a symptom management approach and it can be a root cause healing approach. So I think the first thing is just to clarify that. If someone takes digestive enzymes, so they go into Holland & Barrett, they grab some enzymes and they take them, and it improves their digestion, so they stay on them forever. They just keep doing it because it's helping. That's symptom management. What I recommend to my students in the academy is to take enzymes for 60 to 90 days. Now, the reason when someone has chronic symptoms or a chronic health issue or an autoimmune disease, there will be an element of gut dysbiosis, intestinal permeability, an imbalanced microbiome, an overgrowth of candida and parasites, and all these things. All disease starts in the gut. So, knowing that, we also know that there is going to be a problem or a reduction in the gut's ability to digest, absorb, and assimilate. So, we are trying to heal the gut with foods, with herbs, with supplements, with powders, with detox, with all of these different things. But If the gut can't digest these things properly, you're having the best diet, you're having the best supplements, but the gut can't digest properly. How do we move forward? That's really difficult to do. It's hard to initiate the healing when we cannot get the benefit from the foods and the supplements and the herbs that we're taking. This is where the enzymes come in temporarily. So for the first 60 to 90 days, when the gut is in the most disrepair, because we haven't done any work yet, we're bringing in the enzymes to support digestion so that when I'm recommending have these healing foods, have these herbs, do this detox protocol, take this, you'll actually benefit from it. That then starts to improve the gut. It improves its function, it improves its ability to digest, to absorb, to assimilate. And so, actually, after 90 days, because we're doing the root cause work to actually get to the bottom of why digestion isn't optimal, we can now stop the enzymes. They were just there as a support to help us move almost like, from step 1 up to step 2, step 3. There was a goal there. And that's not symptom management, or it's temporary symptom management, but it's okay because we're doing the root cause healing. It's not we bring them in and we just take them because we're digesting better. Yes, but you're not getting to why you're not digesting very well in the first place. That's the purpose of them. That's why we do it. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So that's kind of the difference on how people take them, and why we just do it for a short period and what the purpose of that is. And it's all about it's just a key component in the overall gut healing process. And that is what we're trying to achieve, basically. Because anyone with a chronic health issue is going to have an element of gut disrepair that we need to address. Okay, next question. A question about air fryers. Do you use them? Are they okay from a health and cell perspective? I've not used a microwave since being an adult and I'm still skeptical about them, but I do see the benefits in cooking time and the ease that people describe. No, I don't. I did get one at one point because I was like, I'm going to give them a try. Some of the foods that come out of these look really good, and I wanted to make some healthy chicken nuggets for my daughter, and someone had a recipe, and it was an air fryer recipe. I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. But there's just something about them that is not sitting right with me. The main issue, which can be avoided, but the main issue is that most of them have Teflon, which is even worse if that's where the food sits. So you put the tray out, it's Teflon. You're putting your food on it. The problem with Teflon is a forever chemical. So we really don't want to be consuming those because they are very, very difficult to get rid of. They're going to cause all sorts of problems in the body. That's the number one issue. You can find air fryers that have bottoms that have glass or other materials, like non-toxic materials. There are companies that make them and say, these are non-toxic materials. There is a company called Our Place, and that's where I got mine from, actually. But even with the non-toxic materials, whether they're fully non-toxic is a whole other thing. I remember buying all my pots and pans from Green Pan many years ago, and then years went by, and then there was a whole lawsuit on actually they're not as clean as they claim them to be. So I'm always a bit skeptical about these non-toxic coatings that they use because they still create non-stick on lots of things, and that's a whole other beast, right? Um, I saw something before that someone's child, I think they had autism, and they were being very, very careful with their diet and what they exposed them to, and they were really helping their child. Introduced an air fryer, and everything seemed to be going wrong, but she couldn't work out what about the air fryer was causing it because everything seemed to tick the boxes, and it was to do with like an element that was in the back of it. I don't know if it was like an electrical component, but it was something there that when she tested it, there was the presence of heavy metals. Um, and long story short, she'd somehow concluded that parts of the heavy metals were ending up in the food and causing these problems. This is one person's account, but it just fed into the fact that there's something about them that I'm not 100% with. Now I've seen this one person's story, but to me, that's enough to be, I'm going to stick with my oven. My tried and tested oven. I like my oven. And I also think with the increased cooking time, where it's quick, I do worry about the EMF exposure when things like are rapidly, cooking quicker. Normally, it creates more EMFs as well. So I'm cautious. But if you do opt for one, then you want one that's either glass or what people do if they have got a Teflon one, which like 99% of them are, they have like glass Tupperwares that they put in and have their food sit in those instead. So that's kind of a workaround. If it's just from the Teflon forever chemical side of things. Okay, final question. Do you have clients with lipedema? What made the biggest difference? So the short answer is yes, we have. The biggest difference, liver flushing. Definitely liver flushing. And it's because of the role that hormones play in this condition. And then excess hormones get held in the liver when they can't be excreted fully. So that's the liver's job. It breaks down hormones. And when it can't do that, they'll build up. Then the liver's going to become sluggish and we're going to get hormonal imbalances because suddenly we've got all this excess, estrogen in the liver, so on and so forth. So when we flush the liver, we are clearing out all of those old hormones, which then means that the hormones can start to balance back out. And that's why liver flushing can help with any hormonal related disorder. It's interesting because I see lots of people say, oh yeah, the cause of that is hormones, some hormonal imbalance, it's a hormone problem. Hormones aren't a root cause. They're not a root cause. We all have hormones. They're not it's not a hormone problem. We all have them. Yes, sometimes they get imbalanced. Why have they become imbalanced? That's the question we need to be asking. Oh, it's because of too much estrogen. Okay, but that's not the cause. What caused too much estrogen? Is it because we are being exposed to the endocrine disruptors? They raise estrogen. Too much copper, that raises it. Or the liver can't process it and dump it. That will keep it high. These are the root causes. These are the things we need to be looking at. So another thing I would also be looking at is the products you're using. Are you being exposed to those sorts of things? Like cosmetics and perfumes and synthetic fragrances, like all of those will be contributing. Even plastics, use plastic Tupperware. And to be honest, plastic is just such a difficult one to hide from. But again, all the more reason to be doing the detox. Like, let's clear those out of the system. If we open everything up, we're giving the body the best chance it can of emitting all these microplastics. The other thing is, whenever I say liver flushing, sometimes people think that means a one and done. Oh, I flushed my liver, I'm not healed. Unfortunately, it's a process. And so Andreas Moritz, who kind of made famous the liver flush, he recommends 6 to 8 flushes for the average person. What's the average person? Especially when he recommended that, was the average person just an average healthy person? That's my interpretation. And if that's the case, someone with a chronic health issue who's going to have more liver burden would need upwards of 6 to 8. So I tend to say to my clients 10 plus. 10 plus before you can really start to judge if it's having an impact or not. That's not to say you'll be healed, but you should definitely, you should be seeing improvement by you before get 10. Some people do 1 and they do see improvement, but the trick there is that they then fall into complacency, or they fall into thinking, oh, I'm better, I feel great 6 months down the line. Because look, say this is your liver and let's say it's full, right? It's full. You do a liver flush. That might be enough to alleviate some symptoms. Oh, I feel great. But how long is it going to take to get back to there? 6 months, a year, 2 years? Probably not long. If you do 10 and you get to here, well, even if you then go back to living how you used to live, it's still going to take quite a long time, maybe 5 years, 6 years to get up to there. Okay, so that's kind of the thought process around that. But yeah, I do like to say it could be sooner. If you can commit to 10, that's more of a realistic time frame when we're looking at actual healing. So that's it. That's all the questions. So I hope that was really helpful. Next week we always post to ask, to post your questions. I post for you to post your questions on a Friday. So keep a lookout for those in the relevant groups that you are in. Post them and I'll always answer them the following week. Don't like to say which day just because life, kids, yada yada, but one day that following week before the next one. So thank you if you've watched this video and for submitting the questions. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you next week at the next clinic.